Welcome to a beautiful late summer, early autumn afternoon, going to the evening at the Circuit Paul Ricard. This is the fifth and final double-header round of the 2025 McLaren Trophy Europe. I'm delighted to say, in the commentary box by Tommy Erdos, the expert on all things that we're going to unravel through the course of this first of two races here. We have some titles that could be sorted this very afternoon, Tommy. Others are then going to go right the way to the end. And the pro class, the top class, any of five crews could win that, so we've got plenty to fight for. We've got the pit stops, we'll have to explain those. We've got pit stop penalties, we'll explain those as we go as well. But what a stage is set here. Beautiful. We're saying outside how lovely it is. The temperature is very gentle.
It's a bit like Rio de Janeiro here, Bruce. Yeah, great to be here with you again in the final two rounds of the McLaren series here. Fantastic way to end this championship with literally, well, not all the classes, but certainly the Pro and the Pro-Am very much to fight for the two races coming up.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got the spirit in the commentary box. Let's find out the spirit down on the grid with Marietta Evans. Go, Marietta.
I'm with Samuel Harrison. He and his teammate are chasing the first win of this season. Sam, you have been on the podium every round. You clearly have the speed on this racetrack, but can you turn this ball into the first win of this season?
I mean, that's the plan. So we're hoping that our pace that we're showing here carries through the race and keep it clean in T1, hopefully build a gap to make up for the penalty in the pit stop that we have from Nürburgring, and then just have fun.
It seems like your team, ALM, has found a perfect formula for a setup here at Paul Ricard, because the other ALM car is also on the front row.
Yes, the team have done a mega job this weekend, so we seem to be in the right window, and as long as we carry it through, we're in good position to keep it going.
Where do you feel you have an advantage on this track?
It's hard to know. It's a track of two parts, really. So you've got a technical part that is very start-stop at the beginning, and then lots of flowing corners at the end. I'd say we've got it right by having a pretty all-round position.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
So that's the voice of Samuel Harrison. He'll be a second driver in the car that's starting from pole position. His teammate, Leonidas Karavasili, put it on pole. Now look at the weather. We talked about it being lovely. 21 degrees air temperature, track temperature a little bit higher than that, of course. The circuit, though, Tommy, 5.822 kilometres. It varies according to which chicane you use on the Mistral Straight, but we heard from Samuel, it's about flow, isn't it?
Very much so, and a great result there for ALM Motorsport with both cars at the front. Clearly they have a good setup for this circuit. They've got the cars really well dialed in, but what an impressive performance by Leonidas Karavasili with that time in qualifying, and it's worth to mention that he hasn't been here before.
Well, worth it, but let's find out more from down on the grid with Marietta.
Will, you guys are starting on P3 today, but more important, you are in front of your rivals for the title. What do you need to do to stay ahead in the race?
I mean, for sure, the most important thing is that we are ahead of them. Throughout the race, I think we just need to, well, Alex for sure has to get in front of the other two and make sure we just win the race to be able to come out in front and also close the gap to the leaders to be able to have a proper fight for tomorrow's race. It's going to be really, really exciting, that's the main thing, but we have to make sure everything's perfect for today. So for us, being P3 in the standings, we're a bit of kind of the underdog, so there's less pressure on us, which is a great thing to have. So for sure, for the two Greystones cars, they'll be a bit more under pressure and on their back foot a little bit.
How has the car been feeling overall so far?
I think we've had a great car all weekend. It's been, but thank you to the team especially. We've had from the moment we've gone out for the first session, the car's been there or thereabouts. It's just been fine-tuning a little bit and getting to grips with everything. Alex has done a really good job throughout the whole weekend, especially this morning. There was maybe a couple moments where we could have been pole, but to be ahead of the two Greystones cars is what counts.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Okay, well that was Will Aspin. He's sharing with Alex Geppert, and let's just talk about this battle in the top class, Tommy. We've got potentially 30 points to play for. It's 15 points for a win, 12 for second, 10 for third, down to 1 point for 10th position. 80 points, it's Jaden Kelly and Michael O'Brien. They're 6 points clear. They've got 4 wins, so they've been really successful. 2 wins for Sam Nesser and Josh Mason. They're 6 points down. They could still do it. We heard from Will Aspin, third place with Alex Geppert. They're on 71. Yep. Then outside bet, Samuel Harrison, we heard from him. His car is starting from pole, though, so that's really good with Leonidas Karavasili. And also, only 16 points down, but only 30 to play for. Really difficult, but they're still there. Zach Meakin and Harry Burgoyne. So that's pretty good. But let's go back down to the grid because Marietta's moving with great speed. Marietta.
Josh, such an important race in the fight for the title. What is your mindset?
I think for us, just have a clean start, because we know that we've got a good race car. Obviously, qualifying was not optimal for us, but the most important thing that our championship leader is only in front of us. So, I think Sam's going to do a really good job off the line, and just have a clean race. At the end of the day, it's about finishing and getting the points, and just have some fun with it.
How would you describe the run to turn 1 here at Paul Ricard?
Obviously, it's a fairly short run to turn 1, so it's all about getting a good start because you're straight into a left-hander, straight into a right-hander. So if you get a good start, you might get away going around outside someone in turn 1, but get the inside for turn 2. So super important, but hey, it's going to be a long race, so it's all to play for.
How exciting! Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, long race, 50 minutes. A lot can happen. For the pros and the AM drivers, they have a pit stop. They all have a pit stop, but that's between 20 and 30 minutes. But the people who are in ProAm, with the AM drivers starting, they go longer into the race. So that's something to look for. But then we've got different length pit stops. We'll come to that as well. But right now, the main thing is the championship battle has sort of been put on its head. The people leading the championship are on row 3 of the grid. So it's going to be a really good mix.
Yes, not a great qualifying there for number 17 car of the Great Stone GT crew of Michael O'Brien and Jaden Kelly. Jaden Kelly was in the car today for qualifying. Very quick first sector, but they couldn't quite put 3 seconds together. So anyway, they're there and they'll be fighting.
Right, I haven't talked too much about Prime, but let's go down and join Marietta with the man who knows a lot, Ollie Webb.
Ollie, a key day today in the fight for the title. You guys are ahead and you have plenty of experience managing situations like this, but how confident is your teammate for the role he has to play starting the race?
Yeah, he did a fantastic qualifying this morning. Ryan really pulled it out of the bag and a really good theoretical time as well. So we're happy with that. The wind's obviously picking up now. Tomorrow's going to be crazy wind as well, so that's going to play a factor. It's going to be different for all of these drivers now going into turn 1 down the back straight. But we just need to finish second. We're going to push for first, but second secures us the championship.
Good luck. Thank you.
So there's Ollie Webb. He's sharing with Ryan James, the American racer. 99 points to them, 3 wins in the bag. 89 points for Erik Behrens, who's giving chase. But there we are. Ollie did the maths for us. Second place. Drivers like it to be simple, don't they? Keep those guys behind you or overtake those guys, or you must finish third, you must finish second. Lay it out. But Ollie's done this so many times. Great
guy to have there with Ryan James, very experienced racer in Ollie Webb there. But these guys are doing a fantastic job. Yes, they have 10 points of a gap to second place. But second place with Erik Behrens and Lukas Sundahl, they are rapid. They've been going very quick in every race now. And Ollie has done such a great job with Ryan because they realized that Erik, as the M on that pairing of Lukas Sundahl and Erik Behrens, Erik has a lot of pace. And in fact, he is ahead of Ryan James, but just on the grid. So, Ryan has really brought his speed up for this round here. And there's only 10 points and 32 points on the table. So it's all to play for.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, of course, you get the point for pole position in your class as well. So that would have made things just that little bit different. Right, now we're getting to see the cars laid out in the beautiful evening sunlight here. A fine sight. 15 cars, nose to tail. It's going to be a 50-minute race, and the first drivers that are allowed into the pits, they are from the Pro and AM classes. They can come in after 20 minutes, but they have a 10-minute pit window, whereas for those in Pro-Am, they're not allowed to come in because the AM driver starts until the AM driver's done more of the driving. They've done 30 minutes minimum, even up to 40 minutes, leaving their Pro just to finish. But generally, they come in on the half hour, don't they?
That's right. So they'll come in, obviously, as soon as possible to give the pros a bit more of a race time there to maximize their performance. But obviously, tomorrow in race 2, you have the pros starting. But because this is very much an AM-based championship, most of the driving time is for the AMs to be on the car. So that'll be reversed, and the pit window then will be between 10 and 20 minutes. But of course, they will try and stretch it out to the 20-minute mark with the pros in the car.
So many things to think about. I could even talk about the fact that the AMs have a pit stop that's 14 seconds less, but we'll get to that as we go through. Right, what we have here, we've got probably the AM title. Haven't talked about that yet, and that is pretty much in the hands of Tim Docker. He may be starting at the back of the grid. He's effectively just got to run around and make sure he picks up whatever points. There's 3 cars in the AM class, so he's almost got it done. But you know what? That's quite difficult. I think as a driver, you'd rather just go and race, wouldn't you? Not think about it.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to think about it too much. He's got 2 races to gather up a few points, really. So obviously Kevin Roorscheit, who's been doing very well this season, is not here today.
Well, let's take a look at the grid, and it's the 2 cars from ALM Motorsport at the front, Leonidas Karavasili and Robin Knudsen. First and second, then Alex Geppert will start on the inside of second row. Harry Burgoyne, young British racer, will be starting 4th on the grid. Jaden Kelly, an Australian, going places. He's starting 5th. Championship leader, bear in mind. Sam Nesser will be alongside. Then Erik Behrens, we've just talked about how well he's going in Pro-Am. And Ryan James, level with him on the 4th row. And David Foster, welcome back. First run since 2023. And Rafael Muncharas alongside. Then Danny Henry, who's running in the Papaya class, running in the AM class. And then Ron Trenker will start 12th. He shares with Duncan Tappy. Kalus Halsig, who's sharing Bradley Ellis, 12th and 13th on the grid. Fiona James and Tim Docker, who's leading the AM title. He's starting last, but he's going to be one of the few drivers who could probably get a title in his pocket by Saturday night here at Paul Ricard. So, drivers getting some heat into their tyres. My name's Bruce Jones, Tommy Erdos alongside me. And as the cars come up the fabled Mistral Straight, it's a good thing we're picking them up there, because that's been a place where the wind, when it blows up here on the plateau above Marseille, can be really mighty. And today, I'm just trying to work out exactly, it's a bit fluky in the pits, but if you've got a following wind, when you arrive at Scene at the end of the back straight, you may need to start lifting a little bit earlier, because you'll be carrying much more speed. But we do have that chicane. You can see it in the background of the shot, they turn left and right and left again. And then there is a gentle climb up to Scene, but that is such a brilliant corner, isn't it? Super, super fast to the right. Lots of runoff, but many a driver, they go in a little too deep, and then it becomes a bit of a problem.
Yes, I don't know if I can say that the Scene here is probably the Eau Rouge of Paul Ricard. It is the corner that people talk about. But with the wind, as you said earlier, Bruce, when it does pick up and it gets gusty, that is the corner where they are now, where the camera is showing us, is the double R. That's the most critical corner if you get a gust of wind coming, because it comes from, it's called a Mistral wind here, that comes actually across from where Scene corner is, and it hits you at the back. But when you turn into the double R, it hits right on the side of the car. And I remember when, in the LMP prototype many years ago, when the fins, the rear fins were installed, it was making the car spin into the double R. It's that strong, the wind over there.
Wow, that really is quite something. Another thing I noticed in the previous race here is the drivers are coming through the final corner, Virage du Pont, onto the start-finish straight. I thought they had lights suddenly flashing in the cockpits. No, that was the sun coming off their visor. So at various points, turning into that corner you were talking about, Double Droite de Baume, back gets a face full of sun through the final corner, but the final corner is a very tight, slow corner. It's about 120 degrees. You can see the cars in the background have to almost stop to go around it. But we've got a standing start. We've got 50 minutes of racing, and we're pretty much all set. But as I said, the pack at the front has been shuffled around. We've got 5 crews in the Pro class who could land the title. And the good news is the one on pole position actually starting 4th in the championship. So they've got plenty to play for. We heard from Samuel Harrison on the grid, but his teammate Leonidas Karavasili is a driver who's just got better and better through this season. He's obviously looking, listening and learning. No wins yet in the bag, but a 3rd and 2nd last time out at the Nürburgring shows they're ready, and a fastest lap for good measure.
Yes, great performance by that car, and bear in mind they missed the first round of Brands Hatch. Can you imagine where they would be in the championship if they hadn't missed that round? They would have been very much at the top. That crew really impressed me this year, and there they are in pole position. Great lap by Karavasili, who hasn't been in this circuit before. So even more impressive the fact that he hasn't actually driven here.
Well, it goes to prove if you look, you listen, you may be able to learn as well, and clearly that is something so important. I did rather like that T-shirt. Need money from McLaren. I can't believe they took it out of my suitcase. Oh dear, we had a very, very going nowhere. It's one of the SMC Motorsport cars. I'm just trying to work out which it is. But our pole starter, Leonidas Karavasili, ahead of teammate down into the first corner with Robin Knudsen tucking in behind. But that was an awful start. But thank goodness everyone went either side there.
Yeah, unfortunately, the start there, sometimes if you put too much throttle at the beginning, you go into maybe a limp mode. And I wonder if that's what happened with, is that Alex Geppert there that didn't get off the grid very well?
I think it could be. I'm not sure if it was Zach Meakin further back, or was it Harry Burgoyne who's starting that one. But anyhow, we'll take a little look-see as they come through. It could have been either, so we're trying to pick them out. But up front, it's very clean and tidy. Now, field knitting through this first part of the lap. It's really twisty. You go all the way down to Virage du Camp, where they are now. Then they go to Virage de la Saint-Baume, and then you start to open it up. You've got a left flick, and then you're onto the Mistral Straight, where they are now. Lights are flashing, but of course, if they didn't have the chicane, they'd be running a different line up there, but now they're just trying to set up so you can sweep to the left and turn into the chicane. But it does look as though our pole starter is still sitting at the front of the field.
and the lights are flashing that Bruce just mentioned. That, for you guys that haven't seen this racing before, that is the push-to-pass button. These cars have 300 seconds of an extra 35 horsepower injected into when you use the push-to-pass. But you can't use too many or you run out at the end. So when you see the sort of daytime running lights flashing, that is them using the push-to-pass button.
Okay, just clarification. It was Alex Geppert who didn't get away at all well. He was third on the grid, did all the hard work in qualifying, has now got even more hard work to get on with. But it's Kara Vasili from Knutsen, Jaden Kelly, championship leader in the first 3 positions, and car 68 next in line, which is Zach Meakin at the moment. Was it Harry Burgoyne? So I've got to double check which way around that one is. But again, they're about to get to the point where they get another face full of sunshine getting towards the end of the opening lap. These are the sweepers as you come back towards the pits now. This is the final couple of corners. You turn very sharply to the left and even more sharply to the right.
Very important there. A lot of curbs, you can see the cars are using them, and you have to get a lap time, but you've got to be careful, because if you hit them in the wrong way, the car starts to bounce too much and you lose a lot of time.
Yeah, you see that particularly when you've got the longer races here into the night, and it's slightly harder to place the car in the corner. So, end of the first lap, let's go through the positions. It's Leonardis, Kara Vasili, Robin Knutsen, Harry Burgoyne, who's moved up a place, obviously, with his teammate Will Geppert not getting away well, Jaden Kelly 4th, Sam Nesser 5th, Erik Behrens leading the ProAm class ahead of Ryan James, but of course we will run through that later on. And just good to see such a clean, tidy bit of action. But suddenly Kara Vasili has got plenty of company, because Robin Knutsen is all over his tail. I sort of sense, Tommy, perhaps the next 2 cars, Harry Burgoyne and Jaden Kelly, may benefit from this, because the first 2 are getting very, very close indeed. But as I say that, suddenly our pole man Kara Vasili just works himself a little bit of space, and the chase is on. But he got very close indeed. ALM Motorsport, seeing the crew on the pit wall, they're going, good show guys, but do come round.
That's it. Yes, keep it clean, please. But they're great showing there, again, as you said, from ALM Motorsport. In qualifying, only 2 tenths between those 2 cars, but it may have been that Robin Knutsen didn't quite put all the sectors together, but they seem to have very similar pace at this stage.
Certainly do. And as always in modern motor racing, particularly a circuit like this, you try and steal a bit more of the track, and quite a few people had their best laps taken away for track limit violations in qualifying this morning. But anyhow, it's looking very neat and tidy. The first few cars just starting to make a little bit of a break, just trying to pull clear. You've effectively got Kara Vasili, Knutsen, Burgoyne and Kelly making a break. Best of the rest, Sam Nesser, but he's not quite keeping up with them at the moment. He's about 2 seconds off their tail.
Yes, and Kara Vasili very aware that he has a 5-second additional sort of success penalty, if you will, into his pit stop. So he really could do with kind of pulling away from the car behind. But luckily, in a way, his teammate is not really fighting them for the championship. So perhaps a little bit of teamwork there would pay off.
Yeah, well, so the car that's chasing with Robin Knutsen has no success penalties. It wasn't in the top 3 of the second of the 2 races last time out at the Nürburgring. And the car chasing in 3rd place with Harry Burgoyne on board. Unfortunately for them, well, fortunately for them, they won in Nürburgring, which was a great result. But unfortunately, that's 7 seconds extra when they come to the pit stop. So the car in the lead of the race has got 5 seconds extra at the pit stop. The car in 3rd has got 7 seconds. Do the maths there. It means Knutsen in the middle is laughing his head off at the moment. It's going to be nice and clean for him. But he still would rather fancy get into the lead of the race.
It looks very racy at this stage, doesn't he, Bruce? And he's right on the back of Kara Vasili there. And but yes, when it comes to the pit stops, these guys will have to. I mean, it's over 2 minutes when you count the loop-to-loop, sort of pit in and pit out. So basically, the Pro and the Pro and M classes, they will have to. Sorry, the Pro and Pro-Am classes will have to be in the pits for about 132 seconds. So that's 60 seconds stationary plus the 72 seconds, which is the count loop-to-loop, pit in and pit exit, and of course plus the success penalties. So car 68, Zach Meakin, they're doing a great job in 3rd place. Unfortunately, he gets 7 seconds, as you said, because of his success penalty from last round at Nürburgring. That's a total of 139 seconds. Now do the math. That's 2 minutes and 19 seconds, something like that.
Time for a cup of tea for all the British drivers, of course. Not too hot.
But Kara Vasili has 5 seconds added, so only 2 seconds less.
Glad we're taking a look at number 12. That's the teammate of Harry Burgoyne. That's Alejandro Geppert. He started, well, he should have been starting 3rd, but he didn't get away. Everyone avoided him. They sort of went either side of his car. He fell to 15th and last time I looked, he had gained quite a few places. He's up into 8th position overall. His next target is car number 22, and he's aiming after Ryan James in that. He probably will, before the pit stops, be able to catch him. But the temperature in the car must be a little bit hotter for one. So just explain why it sometimes can be just a little hard to get away.
Well, so these cars don't have a clutch that you use. You actually start these cars with your foot on the brake and a certain amount of revs, obviously, on the throttle. But if you use anything sort of around 40% throttle, you risk getting into limp mode. But it's a risk that you take, because obviously a little bit more throttle means you might get away a little bit faster. So he was obviously keen to get away fast, but perhaps that was a little too risky and got into limp mode. Now, I don't know what happened there. I'm just assuming that that's the case. But that's generally, when you fluff the start, it's probably because you've done that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he'll find some reason for why it's happened, but frustrating. I can understand he desperately wanted to get a jump on the two cars ahead of him, because, of course, they've come here in a very good championship position, but every point would count. They sitting third in the championship, they were, how far down are we? They were 9 points down.
So they were 9 points ahead. So yes, this was really not a very good start at all. But there's still a lot of racing to go. If Alex keeps his head down, he's a very quick young lad, and he's more than capable to get back up to the top three there.
Yeah, what I've noticed the last few laps is that Jaden Kelly, championship leader, is just starting to catch those first three. I sense the first three cars. We look at Harry Burgoyne in third place at the moment, car number 68 for SMC Motorsport. He was closing in on the first two as they were fighting, and they were gradually dropping the others. But now Jaden Kelly appears to be coming up towards them, and actually, to be honest, Sam Nesser's doing a good job keeping him in his sights as well. So the first five cars are covered by, what are we talking, under 4 seconds. Yeah, that's definitely coming down. It was more than that a lap or so ago. And then, of course, we've got to go through the extra penalty times when they come to the pit stop. The car that's leading, 5 seconds extra. The car that's third, 7 seconds extra. And unfortunately, the car that's got 3 seconds is the one we talked about, Alejandro Geppert. And he's Alex Geppert, he's down in, well, he is really catching Ryan James, but he's still down in 8th place. He'll probably get up to 6th. And there I think he'll stop. Not stop in the race, but I don't think he'll proceed anymore before we get to the round of pit stops.
I agree, Bruce. I think it will get harder after that sixth position for Alex, but he will just get his head down and keep pushing. But luckily for Jaden Kelly and Michael O'Brien, that car 17 of Greystone GT do not have any success penalty in the pits, so they're actually sitting in a very comfortable position. Last lap time for Jaden Kelly there on the 206s, so he's on a very sort of competitive lap times. He's running with the front guys. So right now, I think Jaden shouldn't really be trying too hard to make any more inroads into the front to the point where he's risking anything.
Okay, we just saw Erik Behrens leading the ProAm class. He isn't leading it on points. He's 10 points down on Ryan James and Ollie Webb, but he's got a very handy teammate in Lukas Sundahl. He's just trying to stretch the margin, but actually, I tell you what, the last few laps, no, it's actually stabilised. It's about 2.5 to 3 seconds, so that's quite comfortable, but they are being caught by Alejandro Geppert. There he is in the background. Alex, as his teammate, calls him, but and this is, well, here is our ProAm battle. How close would you like it to be? But this is number 12 going through. That's Geppert. He makes a very long way around the corner, but the flags would have been waved, and so tricky at certain tight points on the circuit to try and make a move. But he's desperate to get through. Wants to get past ahead before they've got onto the Mistral straight. Round the corner they come. He's still tucked in behind Ryan James. Not good for Ryan James, and definitely not good for Alex Geppert there. But flashing the lights, we can hardly see his car. He's going to burst out from behind the second place car in this line. It might be a battle for 7th place, but he needs to get past these ProAm runners. Absolutely. Alex really needs to get through a round, but of course these are the two teams that are fighting for the championship, not these two particular cars, because that's a Pro car in number 12 against the ProAm. But of course, the ProAm car of Ryan James is run by Greystone GT, and number 12 SMC car, and of course the Pro battle is between those two teams as well, so it could be very interesting there between teams. Gosh, it really can. You can really stir the pot, but there are quite a few extra strands, but he's just not found any extra pace, not managed to get away. Fantastic 3-car battle here. It's great when you can hardly see the car that's third in the group, but again, this is such an amazing circuit. It's so technical for the first 40% of the lap, but then it really opens up, and but then of course in days of old, well, that was going a little bit wide there, car number 27, that's Rafael Muncherath. So he just sort of got it slightly wrong going into the chicane. Easy to do, but just imagine, have you ever raced here, Tommy, when they didn't use a chicane at all the way up the Mistral? I've never actually raced with the chicane, so every time that I've raced here a few number of times, and always the full length of the straight. So when you arrived at Sin, you were tanking. You were doing, close to 300 kph. So it's and these cars right now with the chicane, they're getting up to 280.
So it shows you how fast these cars are. 620 horsepower when you use the push-to-pass button. These are very quick machines.
It's a good figure, isn't it? That's a nice round number, a bit better than 600, 620, far more lively. But, this is a circuit where you can really feel all of that power. And one thing amazed me about the McLaren Trophy is how some drivers have come in here, effectively started their racing career in this. Jayden Kelly being one. Tiny bit of karting, Australian based in Spain, but he did that, stepped into this, and it's actually, when you're 17 or 18, I think you just accept things. But if you're a bit older and we're starting with 620 horsepower, you'd be a bit more wary of it. But he's got on, and he may be the champion come the end of this weekend.
Absolutely, leading the championship now, doing incredibly well. But there's a few more names that really in the same mold in Sam Nasser and Alex Capet, who was the champion last year as well. Very young lad with not a lot of experience, and as you say, jumping into these very powerful machines. And these are, in terms of race cars, they are quite heavy when you compare it to single seaters or prototypes. So it takes a certain amount of maturity, frankly, to get around the track without doing too many mistakes. And these guys, there's some really young talent coming through the McLaren program.
Yeah, and also, I'm not blowing your trumpet. Well, I am actually. You're the sort of guy within the McLaren. Oh dear, we have a faller.
That's 43, Josh Mason, Sam Nasser's car.
Sam Nasser. So we were just praising him, short in spirit. Well, he's got the experience to get it going, but that was unfortunate because they were running very nicely, 5th place overall. They were chasing after Jayden Kelly. As I said, the first 5 cars were pulling away, so I can only presume he wasn't close enough to Jayden Kelly to get caught up. I think he just had a moment on his own. Hopefully he can stay. Yeah, he does, I think, look as though he stayed in 5th place overall. But anyhow, it's all part of the learning experience. Right, we've got, when we go through another 7 minutes, we'll be down to the pit window opening. So you have to remember, it's a 50-minute race, and the first pit stop's going to start at 20 minutes in. But the battle for the lead of the race, it's still super, super close. It's Leonidas Karavasili, second place, car number 48, that's Robin Knudsen, and third place, car number 68, which is Harry Burgoyne. And they're covered by, just over about 1.2 seconds. Super, super close. But our pole starter, Karavasili, doing just a really, really good job.
A solid job, and he has been doing that throughout the championship. I can't stress how impressed I am by both Karavasili and Sam Harrison, who's again also has done not a huge amount of racing, does some classic racing as well, Sam Harrison. So these two guys, I wish they were at the Brands Hatch opening round, because they would be right up at the top fighting with Jayden and Michael O'Brien for the championship for sure.
Ifs and buts and maybes, that's motor racing, Tommy, you know that. Oh dear, so maybe it was a problem for Sam Nasser, because of course this is before the pit windows opened. He had a little off-track moment, but the car, well, we didn't see what happened. We just saw the car stationary at the edge of the track. I don't know if something got hit in the car or some form of glitch, but these cars have been super, super efficient ever since they started, and really good reliability too. But
absolutely, very rare to see now a car sort of just stopping. So I don't know if there was a spin or something we didn't catch. Maybe the camera will play a replay on us, and we can see what the problem was. But absolutely, really bad news there for the 43 car. Was fighting for the championship. This is exactly what they didn't want. So really, really bad news for the Greystone GT number 43 crew.
Yeah, it is when it can happen at any point in the season. But they were sitting fourth in the championship. Okay, admittedly they were 14 points down, so it was going to be really, really tricky. But I'm afraid that has spiked their gun. They've still got tomorrow. Could yet improve their championship position, but it's going to be much, much harder. But this battle at the front of the field, Harry Burgoyne is really putting the pressure onto Knudsen in second place, which actually is really good news for our race leader, Karavasili. It just buys him, he's sitting on a lead of what we're just talking about, just under a second perhaps, but it's just meant that Knudsen isn't under his rear wing of his Artura.
Now that's just a perfect scenario there for the ALM Motorsport cars at the front. So obviously Knudsen was playing like wingman, to Karavasili. And but yeah, he needs that 5-second buffer that he has to serve in the pits for his success penalty, and there's no doubt Knudsen is helping him on that.
Right, just a thought, with Sam Nasser pulling off, that means Geppert has got into 5th place now. We thought, having got past the 2 Pro-Am challengers, he'd have his moment. So what are we about to see here?
That's Ron Trenker there, coming into passing Kalus Halsig.
Oh, nice move.
So it was a good move there on the inside, very clean.
Yeah, and again, experience of racing at Paul Ricard is something, but there is space to feel as though you can make a challenge at various points in the circuit. Into the first corner on the opening lap, maybe not. Second, possibly, but once you start going down the hill towards the Est de la Verrerie and then down to the Virage de l'Hôtel, it's a little more, you can make a dive. You think about in corner numbers, turn 4, a lot of people make a move there, but then of course if you're not in position when you come out of onto the run, onto the Mistral Straight.
Yeah, you need to really work out the last left-hander, which is turn 7. The exit of turn 7 is key for any sort of hope of a move before the chicane. But then also coming out of the chicane, you could actually have a run on a slipstream and using the push to pass before Sin. But there are other places, and as you mentioned, it's a very wide track, a bit like Silverstone, loads of room there. And again, that's a really sad sight to see the number 43 car there pull into the garage. That's not what we wanted to see. They were really in the fight for this championship with only 6 points adrift of the number 17. Also great Stone GT car, but we wanted to see that resolved on track and not like this.
Yeah, really disappointing for Nessa. They're sitting on board, but great looking car, but I prefer them when they're on the track, so let's hope it's not something that will, well, let's hope they can get back out in this race. I mean, points are almost out the window, but just to be sure that it's ready for tomorrow. Now, on this last lap, Harry Burgoyne has suddenly fallen nearly a second off the tail of Knudsen in second place, and Knudsen now he's shaken Burgoyne off his head. He's now going after the race leader again. His teammate Caravasili, first, second and third. They're still covered by 1.6 seconds, the top 3. Then there's a little bit of a gap, and Jaden Kelly, I don't think he has to try too hard. He's sitting, as we said, on a 9-point lead, and certainly has plenty of faith in Michael O'Brien. Right, yes, we're starting to get penalties for exceeding track limits, and car number 27 has got 5-second penalties to be added after the race. That's Rafael Muncharas. We saw him have an off-track moment. I'm quickly looking through. Yeah, the trouble is we've got a very small section on bottom of our screens, and the warnings are mainly for track limits, but his is, I haven't seen the preamble. Right, Erik Behrens doing a fantastic job, leading the ProAm class, and again, being neat and tidy in that fantastic black and gold livery car that's been run for so long with a big Swedish flag on the roof. Can't guess where they come from, but he's just sitting on a little comfortable gap. It's about 3.5 seconds over Ryan James. And again, Ryan's driven really, he's another driver with almost no experience, really, isn't he? But yet he's taken to these cars. And, that's the point about having different classes in the championship as well. They've got something to fight for. But also in ProAm, it does what it says on the tin. The AM will learn from the Pro. And that relationship is so vital. Works better with some than others.
It does, and really impressive the work that both Ryan and Ollie have done really to get Ryan really up to speed against Erik Behrens, doing a fantastic job on similar lap time.
Well, I tell you what, let's go down, and Marietta is down with the stricken number 43 that Sam Nessa brought in.
Yes, as you can imagine, very serious faces here, because today they had such an opportunity to close the gap and try to stay alive in that fight for the title. I just talked to some people in the team, and they said to us that the problem was loss of power. And as you said, guys, really sorry to see this happening, and instead of seeing the fight continuing on track.
Thank you very much, Marietta. I mean, that's disappointing at any point in the year, but when you come to the final round, I guess if it happened at the first round, they'd be further back on the points, but, to come at the final meeting and you think, maybe we can just do it. Maybe we're an outside shot, but it's not going to happen for them now, I don't think, because they're 4th in the championship and they came here 14 points down, and of course, if they're scoring nothing, all their rivals will be putting points in the bank. 15 points for a win, 12 for second, 10 for third.
Yeah, it's very sad to see that, the car in the garage again. And I can't remember when I saw a trophy McLaren coming into the pits because of loss of power. This is really the first one, really. And these cars have been incredibly reliable. And yeah, just really bad luck. What can I say? Really feel for Greystone GT with number 43. But of course, they have number 17 still at the lead of the championship. And there are other people there mathematically that can challenge that. So the race is still on.
It is indeed, but there's Danny Henry again. Now, almost all these cars are 2-driver lineouts, but Danny Henry he doesn't really like that, does he? He wants to do the whole thing with DTO Motorsport. He does it, and it's a draining environment, but he just seems to relish the opportunity, and he's leading the class, leading the AM class.
Danny is a great character, true and true sort of McLaren driver, came through the pure McLaren program, and yes, he's done now on his 3rd season with McLaren Trophy, and still driving on his own. He doesn't like to share, and just thoroughly enjoys his racing.
Okay, feels like winding back time. Explain what the pure McLaren program was. It's quite a few years ago now that kicked off. Was it about 20?
So Yeah, it was
18?
goodness. It was a long time ago. I can't remember the first year that we were involved with that, but it was a great program for McLaren owners for road cars to start with, to actually get a little bit of tuition on track, and so they feel more comfortable about driving these very powerful machines on track. So they developed a very good program of expert coaches that would go out on track with the drivers and their cars and teach them how to drive effectively. Very advanced skills as well in terms of racing skills, and of course one thing led to another, and then we're now into the trophy series, and some of these people that did the pure McLaren are coming to do that.
Right, okay, this is the time in which we can start having pit stops. We had to get to the 20-minute mark, and just to remind you, it's cars in the Pro and Am class.
So that's the Jaden Kelly, Michael O'Brien leading the championship, and fourth on the road there. So hopefully everything runs smoothly, and it's Michael O'Brien coming in. And I don't think Jaden was using a lot of the push to pass, so I think hopefully Michael will have most of that to use for the second stint.
So just to stress that again, you have 300 seconds push to pass for the race, is that right?
That's right. So they have 300 seconds to use the push to pass button. When you press the button on the steering wheel and it activates it, it will deactivate if you come off full throttle, but you can also manually deactivate it on the button. Of course, if you use too much, you'll run out at the end. If you're fighting for position and you don't have any, and your competitor does, then you are pretty much a sitting duck. So the strategy comes into it, and you have to use it in the right amounts. Yeah. And Paul Ricard, you have a lot of opportunity to use that. So if you're a bit greedy on the push to pass button, you'll run out soon.
Some circuits just seem a little more suitable for push to pass, and this one very much fits the bill. And just to reiterate, when you don't go for push to pass, how many extra horsepower?
35 horsepower. So you standard is 585, and with the push to pass button, it adds 35 on top of it, and you feel it, of course. 35 horsepower on top of the 585, you do feel the punch.
Yep. If you don't, you shouldn't be doing it. So we're just going to have the sort of shuffling of the order. We've still got Carabasili leading this race, but certainly we're going to see where they all fall afterwards, because they should have a standard pit stop length, and we know it's 132 seconds. You don't have to write this down at home, but that's it is from pit in to pit stop to pit out, and it'll be even for all of them, because it's 72 seconds added on top of the 60 seconds they're sitting at a standstill. So
that's right. So they have obviously a pit lane start line, meaning coming into the pits, and at that point you're into a speed limit that's 50 kilometers per hour, and to cover the pit lane in and the out line at 50 kilometers per hour, it will take you 72 seconds. Plus you have the stationary time that's mandatory at 60 seconds for the Pro-Am, 46 seconds for the M class. And then, of course, any success penalties that gets added onto that.
It is a series for the mathematician, and certainly, now that, of course, you've got such good communications with your pits, they can just remind you of these things, but they're the ones that have the lollipop in front of the car there. So if you go out too soon, it's not really the driver's point. As soon as they raise that thing, you're going, because that's your instruction. Right, Harry Burgoyne had a really good run. Zach Meakin has just taken over from him. He was sitting in third position. There was nothing he could do about Robin Knudsen in front, who in turn, there was nothing he could or probably even wanted to do. The Leonidas Carabasili, but of course the Knudsen car, which is going to be handed over to Michael Carlson, no penalty for them in terms of extra pit stop time. So that's really should put them into the lead of the race.
It should really, because the extra 5 seconds there, I don't think there was a 5-second gap there between the two cars. So
it was maybe 1 second.
Yeah, so that should really put them into the lead. But now it's really brought the 90 car, Carabasili and Sam Harrison, into the championship. With the unfortunately with 43 retiring. I know mathematically the number 90 car there in Motorsport is a little bit behind there, but if they can manage a win today, it really does help things along. But of course, you've got to say that the number 17 car of Greystone GT is also doing very well at this stage. Michael O'Brien is at the wheel now. Equally as fast as Jaden Kelly, and some will argue that he might have a little bit of an edge here, because he knows the circuit a little bit better than Jaden. But those two guys are very, very good, both of them.
Okay, let's just run through the championship. This year they started off, when I say they, I'm talking about Michael O'Brien and Jaden Kelly. Brands Hatch, start of May, 2 wins. Oh, that's a bit of a start. Second round, Monza, a second and another win. It put them well clear in the championship, but then a trip up. No score in the first race at Spa. Suddenly others come a bit closer. Other people also starting to find their form. Then a second place at Spa. Okay, recovered. Nürburgring, a victory, and then a 4th place. You might go, oh, 4th is disaster, it's not on the podium, but it does mean they didn't have any success penalties. So coming here, they could flip this over, and very easily, without that, they could suddenly we could have our top order even turned around, but certainly Michael Carlsen should be pulling clear.
Yes, I mean the 17 car is clearly obviously leading the championship right now, and they have a cushion enough that they should really just manage it to score highly in both races, and they should be able to do the job. But you can never tell.
Now, another thing we need to point out is the AM drivers. Their pit stop can be 14 seconds shorter than their rivals. But it doesn't really matter too much to Tim Docker, because as long as he continues to the end of this race, he will pick up the points in the AM class. There are 3 runners in that class that will give him the title.
He will seal the championship,
so
for sure.
Big party tonight, and then come back feeling just in celebration form tomorrow. But he's just he's done the first half of the race, and again, nothing. But it's often dangerous in any sport if you're not doing it 100%. I always fall back to my background in playing rugby. If you're not 100% committed, you sort of end up getting a little hurt yourself, but this is much the same in driving.
Absolutely.
If you go below 95%, you might just make a mistake.
You make mistakes, for sure.
So Tim Docker knows what he's got to do. Sitting there, his car looks fantastic. Again, most cars look brilliant in this low light in the evening, but again, it's getting harder and harder for the driver. In the commentary box, we're holding our hand over our eyes so we can see the screens, because I'm not complaining. The weather in the northern and western Europe has been pretty foul. Big wind, but we think tomorrow it's coming here.
Apparently the forecast says there's some very high winds overnight tonight and gusting in the morning as well. So these guys will be out again for free practice 4 very early in the morning, and then obviously qualifying 2. And if the wind is really gusty, like I said before, coming into the double R, that would really play a part into the handling of the cars. They really need to be aware of it.
Any circuit that's wide open, I mean, you think of what other circuits wide open? Silverstone. You'll have raced at Thruxton. If you get the wind wrong there, that can be a massive factor. But again, if it's something built on an airfield, this isn't on an airfield. There's an airfield just across the way from us. Did you arrive by your private jet, Tommy?
Not today, Bruce. But I have to say, when we raced here in the Le Mans Series, we did. I had a very good ride. It was very bumpy actually, because there's very mountainous here around Ricard, and there's a lot of updrafts. So on a light aircraft, it's a little bit scary, if I'm honest.
First world problems, Tommy. So right, the final rounds of pit stop. The final people going through their pit stops, working through their seam, and from what had been second place for the first half of the race, Robin Knudsen handing over to Michael Carlsen, but their pit stop will be effectively 5 seconds shorter than the car they were chasing from our pole position starter, Leonidas Karavasili. He handed over to Sam Harrison, but this car number 48, ought to, because it has a minimum mandatory pit stop the same length as its sister car, should be out probably about 3 or 4 seconds in front. And that should be enough. But then we'll see if Michael can hang on, because certainly he's going to get a lot of pressure from Sam Harrison. But it's all part of the learning process, particularly in this championship. You start one race and you second in the other one. There's so many things to learn about the way a race can unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the 48 car there has, as you said, 5 second, or doesn't have a 5 second penalty. So they're in a very good situation there. But so again, ALM Motorsport there with both cars very much on the pace. So whatever setting they found in that machine, it's working very well. My question mark was whether they went for a car that was very stable and therefore could produce a lap time, but then we're very hard on the tyres, because tyre drag is something we haven't spoken about, but it is an issue here at Paul Ricard. So really keen to see how these guys perform at the end of this first race, because we know that the circuit is very heavy on left fronts, and also the rears. You will eventually lose the rears, and the traction becomes an issue, so you have to then start tweaking your traction control settings, maybe even the ABS settings. So all of that will come into play towards the end of the race.
Certainly will. It's such a thing. So many things to learn. Now here is from the lead, Leonidas Karavasili coming in. Now we know his pit stop is going to be 5 seconds longer than the sister car that should now have emerged back onto the track with Sam Harrison. With Michael Carlsen at the wheel. But we'll see what the gap is when this pit stop has been completed. But I think he knew he was a sitting duck, but all he could do is lead from pole and stay there as long as you can. But he was under a lot of pressure. Sometimes it came down to about half a second. But generally, it was about 1 second between them. But those 5 seconds extra are going to feel like 5 days.
Yeah, once again, what a great job by Leonidas Karavasili there, just doing a fantastic job all season. And like I said before, if these guys were racing at Brands, scoring well at Brands, which they would have done, it will be a different story at the top of the table. And I'm really hopeful that these guys decide to come back next year and fight for the championship, because they will be for sure front runners.
Again, I mean, in a round of 10 races across 5 rounds. It's very, very difficult to claw anything back if you fail to score or you don't one of the rounds. And so, yeah, it's a way of making sure they come back next year. But
absolutely, but there are some changes for next year in terms of the point systems as well. So we're changing that slightly. There'll be a drop score next year as well. And so even if you do have a bad weekend, like the number 17 crew had at Spa, where they didn't score, it's not all lost. You do have a chance to recover.
Can you have a joker round where you get double the points if you play your joker in advance? Right, let's see where this one comes out. So this is the car that led from pole position. Sam Harrison comes back out. I don't expect he's in the lead, but he comes out straight into a face of low-setting sun, just what you don't want as you're going out into turn 2. You're trying to get it to go down the hill. Last few cars coming in to make their pit stops. Now we're basically talking about those that started with the AM in a Pro-Am driver lineup. They have to run a longer. They had to get to the 30-minute point in this race before they can make a pit stop. We've just passed that.
That's right. So the Pro-Am window is between 30 and 40 minutes, and whereas the other window will be between 20 and 30 for the Pro and the M classes.
Right.
And of course, tomorrow that all changes.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh, keep the commentators on their toes and keep the pit crews on their toes. So Erik Behrens, great run from him, leading the Pro-Am class. He's handed over to Lukas, but Lukas has got to stand still for another 7 seconds before he can get going over some of his rivals, so that will have to be sucked up. So this could be very close when these two... it was very close leaving the pits. In fact, just trying to see, is that Ollie Webb who's just come out ahead?
This is just a fantastic battle there coming out. The two Pro-Am cars, they are fighting for the championship, come out of the pits together, and these guys are very evenly matched. And Ollie Webb, very experienced, but Lukas Sundahl has shown incredible pace this year.
And there's Fiona James, she's hopping out. Maurice Henry getting on board. So, right, of course, it was 10 points, the gap in the Pro-Am class, but with the point for pole position, Erik Behrens clawed one of those back, but...
And 49 there, Fiona James, another one of the cars that will receive a plus 3 seconds added to the pit stop, because they are, of course, finished 3rd in class in the last race at Nürburgring.
Okay, right, last few pit stops being made there. There's car number 49, we've seen that was brought in by Fiona James, Wallaroo sponsorship there. Of course, that's her racewear company, and it's done very well indeed. Really lovely stuff to wear. And of course, circuits like this, even at this point in the year, you still get very hot in the car, don't you? It's still a really hot environment. So if you've got something, the cool suits that make such a difference.
Absolutely, and the ambient temperature today was quite quiet. It's cooling down obviously now in the evening. It's not so much of an issue, but yeah. And but the circuit here, Paul Ricard, does allow you to rest a little bit, in between corners, so it's not as intense as some of the circuits they go to.
Right, I'm just going to correct myself, because if you make a mistake, don't leave it out there. No point for pole position anymore in this championship. So it's 10 points still, the gap between in the Pro-Am class. We can play with the maths later, but right now I just thought I'd put that straight for those at home. Now what's more interesting is a 20-second time penalty for, here we go, short pit stop. Which car? The car that started on pole position, Sam Harrison. And they had 5 seconds extra. So I wonder if they were sent out without the 5 seconds extra or something like that. But sometimes it comes down to being like just 1 second different, and then you have to come in and stop for 1 second or whatever punishment you have to take, and it's just like...
But there you go. That's sports car racing, GT racing, whatever you call it. It brings the team element into the equation, and when in the pits, if that's not organized to the right minute or whatever, then of course you end up with a penalty. But sometimes things go wrong. Could be a technical issue, maybe with the clock or whatever it is. But the end result is that unfortunately the car that was doing so well now with a 20-second penalty. Yeah, very bad news for that crew.
Yeah, so I haven't been to anything that's over half an hour, anything with a pit stop. I haven't been to a race with a pit stop, and I do loads of 24-hour races without at least one crew getting pinged for getting something wrong. But we've got to keep our eye on other penalties. But that short pit stop for car number 90, the car that started on pole position. So it's neither the drivers, that start driver Leonidas Garavasili or Sam Harrison, who's taken over, to blame. It's just a team thing, so they'll have to take the pain together. But that, they came here fourth in the championship, and this was their chance to really close in.
Yes, it's difficult. I mean, obviously we don't know exactly what happened there. I'm always, as a former driver, I'm always careful to blame teams or drivers, because there's sometimes something out of their control happens. But whatever happened in the pits there, of course, a short pit stop, and that is landed with a penalty. Now, incidentally, just looking at the lap time of Michael O'Brien there at 2:06. 206.4 earlier, not this last lap. Last lap was 206.9, but I think he did a 206.4, almost a second faster than everybody else that I can see really on the screen. And once again, Michael O'Brien showing his talent there in the number 17 car. Looking good for a strong finish there. Second in class, and obviously overall at this stage.
Looks like the weather's starting to change. Suddenly clouds have started rolling in. I thought this was coming tomorrow, Tommy, but anyhow, it started in beautiful. It's still quite warm here at Paul Ricard, but certainly that's the first change we've seen all day. I don't think it's going to bring in any rain that will hit before the end of the race, but we know it's coming. But still, number 90 leads the race. That's Samuel Harrison. Michael O'Brien closing him down, but we know there is a big penalty. 20 seconds are going to be added post-race to the race-leading cars. So all Harrison can do now, he must just press on for his own sort of excitement and pride to win the race on the track, and then he'll have to take the 20 seconds. And obviously, the more he can press on, I'm trying to see if 20 seconds would have him back in 4th place overall behind Michael Carlson, who's 17 seconds down at the moment. So that is really starting to shake things up. So with Michael O'Brien therefore being promoted into the lead of this race in terms of points when that time penalty is applied, that means they'll be getting 15 extra points, which would take them to 95 points. Sam Nesser will get nothing, along with Josh Mason. He's 74. So the car that's third in the championship before this race, Alex Geppert and Will Aspin, that will get the points for, at the moment, 4th place, which is 8 points. And that will move them up to 74. Gosh, that's putting Jaden Kelly and Michael O'Brien on the cusp of the championship at the moment.
Yeah, so it'll certainly make it very difficult for the...
it will be their championship. Oh, but that penalty is much more... My maths wasn't quite fast enough. If they carry on and they'll take the win in this race, they'll be 18 points clear. And 18 points, as Tom Baker tells me, is more than 15, which means the title will be theirs. However, 12 minutes... Who else is going to get a penalty? But the point in a race like this in which you're most likely to pick up a penalty is the pit stop, because that's where you get the biggest amount of damage. A second short, you come in for a second. Track limits, you might exceed too many times, get 5 seconds added at the end. That's not race changing, it may be position changing, but suddenly, for the crew that just cruised around in 4th place, staying near the hunt, Jaden Kelly doing a great job, and he's going on to great things. I think he's competing in the GT World Challenge next weekend, so onwards and upwards, so that's very exciting. But if he can do it as champion, it looks like he well could. And Michael O'Brien doesn't have to push too hard, he can just do what he's been doing for years, super pro. Now, this is a great little scrap, and this is Ollie Webb, Lukas Sundahl. Well, that just changed around at the final corner. What was going on there?
It almost looked like Ollie missed a gear coming out of the last corner. So we have a replay now coming up and so on. And in fact, Lukas almost hit him in the back end, or did he actually make contact? It looked like he may have done.
Yeah, but I think it's like he lost power.
Yes, because
the lights came back on, and he just wasn't accelerating. If there was any contact, there was no blame on Lukas Sundahl. He was trying to accelerate out of the tight right-hander onto the start-finish straight.
Absolutely, yes. Let's hope for the number 22 crew that problem is not going to reoccur, because all they need to do really is finish behind the number 88 car to keep the championships alive. Remember, they have a 10-point gap at the moment, into this race. So it's not a disaster yet for number 22, but very worrying times for them at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes as it is, of course, that will flip around and it'll go. They'll only lose 3 points relatively, so 10 points will become 7 points, which is a manageable amount for tomorrow. But for Ollie Webb, that wasn't. If he just decided to let him pass, the pressure was getting. That's not the sort of place you do it at the final corner. As I said, Virage de la Pont is a very tricky, tight corner, more than 90 degrees, more like 120 degrees. Now, lights flashing away. Well, what are you trying? Well, I tell you what. While the battles are going on the circuit, we've got 10 minutes remaining in this 50-minute race. Let's go down and join Marietta.
Leonidas, you guys were doing so well, and now you had that 20 seconds penalty. Can you tell us what happened in the pit stop?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously tried to do the best job I could. I think we did a good job as a team on the whole today, but at the end of the day, it's a team sport. We've miscalculated how much time to stay stationary in the pits. Unfortunately, we got a 20-second penalty. I don't know if we're going to finish P2 or 3, because I believe P3 has a 5-second penalty as well. Yeah, it's a shame, but it is what it is.
Looks like it's going to be P3, but even though you showed you do have the speed to fight for a win.
Yeah, I mean, we've been very consistent. We've got a podium every race this season. We wanted the top step. we've got another chance tomorrow. But yeah, it's a shame, but we'll look forward to tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mario. Well done for getting the interview, because often drivers, when that happens, just want to disappear, don't they? But
yeah, it's great to see that, Leon. It is again, and he's absolutely right. They've been so consistent this year. Really didn't deserve that penalty, but there you go. Team sport. Sometimes that happens. Maybe the miscalculation was only by a second or so, but whatever it is, they are the rules, and unfortunately, that's how it goes.
It all comes down to just being part of a learning process. All these drivers they may always race in the McLaren Trophy Europe. They may go and do other things. They will all have specific rules. Now, hold on, we've got slightly... I thought we had a slight problem there. Right, 8.5 minutes remaining in this race, and Mike, I've just been doing the maths. Michael O'Brien is what? He's 3.5 seconds down on Sam Harrison, but he knows he would have been told that Sam Harrison has got 20 seconds being added to his time. Right, looking at the car running around in 14th place, maybe last place, but lights are flashing because Tim Docker is very nearly the AM champion for this year. He just had to stay out of trouble. He's running third in the class. There were 3 cars starting the class, and he's not going to have to do too much more. 8 minutes remain until the checkered flag can fall. And nobody immediately in front, nobody immediately behind, so he can just keep it smooth, and then he'll put the title in the bag. And one thing I found so interesting, looking at all the drivers competing in this, the different ways they came. Some from a little bit of karting, some from a lot of karting, some racing Porsches in Scandinavia. And looking at Tim, he started in the VW Racing Cup. I mean, machinery, he's moved up the power band somewhat to come and play in this, and that was quite some while ago. But, great to see the routes that people take to find something like this that races at brilliant circuits, generally in the sunshine. And so much to learn, but they've found something that is a really nice stage to play on, and I think a lot more people will look at this. But just going back to Leonidas Karavzili, he must feel so gutted. They thought, haven't had a win all year, this would be a lovely way to set up a real push tomorrow, but they were absolutely hoping that Michael O'Brien and Jaden Kelly wouldn't take maximum points, but they are.
Absolutely, just really gutted for them, and but they have one more race tomorrow to do that. And I guess on the plus side is that they won't get so much success penalty if they finish third. As if they'd won, then okay, it would have been great. But that's 7 seconds added to the pit stop. Right now, they're looking at only 3 seconds.
Yeah, and it definitely could help them tomorrow. Look for the silver lining, I always say. Right, just looking for the progress still of Will Aspin, and he's 2.5 seconds down on Michael Carlson. But you know what? I mean, Sam Harrison, a few more laps, he may even get up into second place overall. He's 16.5 seconds ahead of Zach Meakin in third place. He's got 20 seconds penalties. So all Sam Harrison can keep doing is pressing and pressing and trying to gain another half second a lap, and it may just work. But car 17, Michael O'Brien, as I said, started the season with 3 wins from the first 4 races, 2 at Brands Hatch, 1 at Monza. Only 1 more win since then, that was the Nürburgring, but they came here with the points lead. It could be falling into the lap. Harry Burgoyne and the guys down there just looking on. Not much more they can do as the drivers who started the races. Remember, he went really well in third position overall. His teammate Zach Meakin is still in third position overall, which will, with that penalty, become second overall unless he's caught by Sam Harrison, who's now 16.3 seconds clear. 20 seconds required for Sam Harrison to fall from the lead into second place when that 20-second time penalty is applied. But still got a little time. But Michael O'Brien, smooth, regular, using a little bit of curb but not too much. And then suddenly, how does this happen? We suddenly have a traffic jam. They've had 45 minutes to space out and suddenly closing right in. Now, is this going to change things in terms of who, what, where and when? Hold on, is that Sam Harrison losing? Oh, I thought for a second that's definitely Will Aspin gaining places there. Okay. Picking his way through. Number 12. Of course, that was the car that just didn't get away. Everyone did so well to avoid it when it was not quite stationary, but only just trickling off the grid. They went either side and all got past before the first corner. So it's been a real chase for them to get back into the battle.
Yeah, Zach Meakin and Will then, Harry Burgoyne did it obviously very well at Nürburgring last round. They won it. That's why they had a 7-second added to their pit stop. So once again, doing very well. Sorry, that's the Alex Capet car. Great comeback, as you said, after that fluff start, really. So they've really come back well to be in the podium position.
Well, he's right behind Michael Carlson. there, but has been putting loads and loads of pressure on. And bear in mind that the Carlsen car was running second early in the race, Robin Knudsen, but up the inside. It was coming from a long way back, carrying much more. Just getting it tucked into the corner as he went past. But car number 12 on the charge, Will Aspin. We heard from him on the grid, and well, again, learning as he works his way around the circuit. But for them, what might have been starting third, but unfortunately by the fact it was only 12 places lost by the first corner, so that's a little respect being put back in. But gap between first and second, Sam Harrison nearly 6 seconds clear now, but Michael O'Brien is doing that professional thing. He doesn't have to take it to the ragged edge. He knows that when 20 seconds is added to the time of our race leader, then he will be the victor instead. So coming second across the line doesn't matter to him.
And the lap time showed that as well. The last couple of lap times on the 208 or high 207. So obviously the team has gone on to him and said, listen, no need to push too hard now. Just bring it home and it'll be fine. Sorry, I got confused there with car 12 and car 68. So obviously that was Aspin there for fourth position, not third. The 68 of Zach Micken car in third position. Again, the car that did so well in Nürburgring as well. So although that crew of number 68, 2 races in a row doing extremely well.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you look at the development of a team. It's not just the teams, it's not just the drivers, the teams too. We came here in ALM Motorsport, absolutely pulled it out to get their cars on the front row. We've got Greystone GT, probably haven't done the maths for a second, probably about to wrap up the team's title overall, but SMC Motorsport in the mix as well, the team from Madrid. And so, really cosmopolitan at the front end of the field. But this race almost at an end. 2.5 minutes remain until the checkered flag can be shown. And our race lead, just looking for the next timing interval, around 6 seconds. Add 20 seconds to our race leader. It should fall behind Zach Meekin's car. That's just 16 and a bit seconds down. Fairly stable. Lukas Sundahl leading the ProAm class. He got ahead of Ollie Webb, but in some ways, it looked for a second. Did Ollie Webb let him get past at the final corner? But no, we think something went amiss. Ollie wouldn't make him. Something happened there. Nearly got hit up the back end, but it doesn't matter too much because there's Ollie Webb and Ryan James still sitting on a lead. It will be smaller going in tomorrow. The final race, the 10th and final race of 2025. It will be a smaller advantage, but yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, if they stay where they are, they've given away 3 points, and they've got a 10-point gap at the moment, so it's not disastrous. They need to obviously be on their toes tomorrow, make sure they don't give away too many points again, and of course they need to finish. So, looking for a great battle again in the Pro-Am class tomorrow.
Yeah, we might have to go down to class wins, but they've already had 3 of those if we end up on equal points. But to be absolutely clear in it's 15, 12, 10. So if their lead has been reduced to 7, they've got to finish 4th or higher, with the chasing Sundahl Behrens car not picking up any. Yeah. So there you have it.
And they've got plenty of pace between the two of them to do that for sure. It's only if you have an issue of some kind that will obviously drop you further back. But yeah, great job by those 2 crews again, and the fight carries on for the next race.
So Jaden Kelly almost ready to raise the eyebrows properly in celebration, but now just a little bit of tension on the Australian's face. But it can't be for much longer. The checkered flag will be out very soon indeed, and we will see who takes the win overall. Well, the first car to the finish line should be Sam Harrison. He's nearly 6.7 seconds clear because Michael O'Brien has backed it off a little bit overall, so he should. Clock continues to count down. Actually, we've got to work out exactly if we will get another lap in, but they're just going out of the chicane. 30 seconds. Yeah, this should be the final lap of the race. It's amazing how many times you get to the end and someone's crossed the line with 0.2 of a second. Oh, a bit of debris in the circuit there, just being hit by and that's Rafael Muncharas. I don't know what. So someone's had a little something fall off the car, flipped it in the air. It might have been a splitter. Let's hope that doesn't lead to a puncture. Anyhow, well caught by the camera crews. Lukas Sundahl continues to push on, doing all he can. He's been very impressive since he came out to play McLaren Trophy Europe. And again, it's great when you see these driver partnerships just forming, and some work better than you expected, others not as well. But it is a process. So many elements get knitted in. Right, final lap. There is the sign. There is the graphic. And for the driver we're looking at right now, car number 17, Michael O'Brien, second on the track. But the car that's leading with Sam Harrison on board has got a 20-second penalty hanging over its head, and that will be added after the end of the race. That will drop them from first to second, most likely, but also to third as well. But there, the checkered flag is waved, and The championship is theirs. Michael O'Brien and Jayden Kelly. So Jayden Kelly, we saw him a moment ago, was just on the pit wall. Pressure wasn't too much, but it's never over until that checkered flag has fallen. So we know the identity of our pro champions for 2025, and if Tim Docker gets the finish line, we know our AM champion as well. So that was a real sort out. The grid had been shuffled. The order was almost back to front. We knew there were success penalties, but for other crews, and there's Leonidas Karavasili, maybe they'll come back again and do it next year. Maybe they'll get that first win tomorrow.
Yes, really looking forward to tomorrow's race for the ALM crew to try and put things right tomorrow. But great race by the number 17 crew of Michael O'Brien and Jayden Kelly. Greystone GT, what a great job they've done all year. They had a bit of a glitch at Spa, but they've come back fighting. Thorough professional job, deserving champions. What a great campaign they've put up.
It's about just making sure you just score consistently, isn't it? You know, with the success penalty, it sometimes looks as though some people's form comes up and other people goes down, but it's all about working, understanding the championship rules, how to make them work for you, but put the points in the bank every time. Hold on a second, we've just got another flash on the screen. Car number 43 has just been disqualified. That's a late call. That's the car that Sam Nesser was showing with Josh Mason. That was the one that was pushed into the garage. It's been, I don't know, when I read regulation 3.5.8, I don't know what it is, but anyhow, they, bear in mind, came in here with a chance in the championship, but anyhow, that's been taken away. Not scoring for them today because they were sitting second in the championship coming here, but no score today. Anyhow, it's immaterial because we know our champions. They go by the name of Jayden Kelly and the driver bringing it home, Michael O'Brien. So congratulations for them. And for Tim Docker too, 78, that's not his age, that's his car number, won the AM class. But he had to do what he had to do. He did it quietly on his own, knew he just had to pick up the points. And in the ProAm class today, well, it was victory for this duo, Erik Behrens and Lukas Sundahl, the Flying Swedes. And they take it home. And by the way, Sam Harrison and Leonidas Karavasili did fall down the order. I'm just waiting for them to be slotted back into second place at the end. So there you have it. They moved ahead of Zach Meakin by just a quarter of a second. It got tighter and tighter. I thought Zach Meakin in car number 68, sharing with Harry Burgoyne, had done enough, but right at the end.
Yeah, it shows the pace that both these drivers from the car 90 ALM Motorsport, Samuel Harrison and Leo Karavasili, they are really very rapid drivers, and of course Harrison are able to make up quite a lot of time there. Michael, quite rightly, they're picking up a little bit of weight on rubber off the ground, and but yeah, big congratulations also to Tim Docker, who is obviously crowned the AM champion for McLaren Trophy 2025. A great competitor, loves his racing, absolutely loves doing the European circuits, and he's of course has driven McLarens before in GT4 2 years ago, a couple of years ago. He was in the British GT Championship, but when he tested the Evo for the first time, he absolutely fell in love with it. And here he is, he's our AM 2025 champion.
Yeah, you've got to work hard, you've got to work with the team, you've got to understand the rules. Again, we saw that today. Little slip up, 20-second penalty. It cost Sam Harrison and teammate Leonidas Karavasili a first win, but by gosh, they put in an impressive season. And as Tommy said before the start of the race, if they'd been at the first round and picked up any points, they could well have come here as championship leaders, but they weren't and they didn't, but they've really fought hard and shown great form. So into third place overall, that's Zach Meakin, car number 68, coming in behind the rest of the gang as they slot. That's Danny Henry, who came home as a winner in the AM class today, but we know the title didn't go to him. It went to Tim Docker. But outright victory, car number 17, Michael O'Brien bringing it in. There it is with the Hilton sponsorship. And the very calm-looking Jayden Kelly will get to greet him when he forms up down towards the exit of the pits, which is where the sort of second group of garages is, and the podium is just up above. So little Parc Fermé will be for them. So that's the first of two races for the final round, the fifth and final round of the 2025 McLaren Trophy Europe. And that was interesting, intriguing. We knew before the race, Tommy, the grid was sort of a bit shuffled because some of the crews that were lower in the championship were ahead of those. And then some people started with success penalty, meaning a longer pit stop. And there were so many factors, but a penalty for the car that did it all, number 90 crew, 20 seconds. That's cost them. It's cost them victory. you could say it's cost them the title, but they were the outside shots in this one. It really was all about Jaden Kelly and Michael O'Brien, and they've only been and gone and won it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you could argue the title could have been still alive there for the 90 car, but you know, these guys have come through this first year for ALM Motorsport and for the crew that drive the car 9-0, and what an incredible job they've done. So they should be very proud of what they've achieved, and of course they have tomorrow to make it right and give, you know, hopefully another opportunity for them to bring that win that they so, you know, so deserve.
But then, of course, for Jaden Kelly, who's leading in the door, and Michael O'Brien, who's still helmeted in the car, the pressure's off them. They can just relax tomorrow. You know what? Sometimes that even makes the performance even greater when you get into that situation. It's a rare thing, particularly in a championship. We've only had 9 of the 10 rounds, but they've got the title won. But we came here, they were one of 5 crews that could win the title this weekend. They were the leaders for sure, but they got it done. That's the main thing.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, big congratulations to everyone involved in that project. It's a team effort. You know, great job for Greystone GT. Jaden Kelly there looking a little bit emotional, quite rightly, and I believe that's his first sort of major title in European international motorsports. Should be very proud of that, especially at that young age of whatever he is. I think it's 18, or he's definitely not 19 yet. So incredible achievement, but also, of course, Michael O'Brien, who has just put some amazing performances as well throughout the year, showing his experience and quality really as a driver. Yeah, great future for both of these guys.
Yeah, Michael's clearly taught him very well indeed. He was the driver bringing it home. But Jaden Kelly had to do the first part of the race, and he was very sensible. He didn't try and challenge the cars in front. He just stayed close, but he knew they weren't having any extra time when it came to their pit stop, and that was sort of really quite an advantage for them. But I think we're going to hear very shortly from a very happy Jaden Kelly. Michael O'Brien probably just getting his helmet off. But for Jaden, yeah, definitely his first title in car racing. A little bit of racing. But let's go down and hear his thoughts. Don't hear mine. With Jaden Kelly and Michael O'Brien.
Guys, congratulations from P5 on the grid to finally sailing the championship. What are the emotions right now?
Oh, unbelievable. It's hard to explain. Couldn't really know on the in-lap. I kept asking, what's the points? And no one could let me know, so I only just found out when I got back. But yeah, speechless, unbelievable.
I can see how much this means for you as well. Tell us about what are your experiencing this moment.
It's something so special. Like, we've been doing this for the entire year. We've had our ups and downs. It's been tough at times, but you know, Michael and I have got through those tough times, worked together, and you know, as Michael said, I was asking on that in-lap, what's going on? I didn't realize till he pulled in. I'm so happy. So happy to do it with Michael and with Greystone, and thank you to everyone, the sponsors. So happy.
Congratulations, guys. Amazing job.
Thanks.
Well, you certainly can't mask happiness. That's a very contented crew. How mean to keep Michael O'Brien not knowing until he came into the pit lane. Maybe they just wanted to get the full reaction there. But we knew from the time of the pit stops, 20 seconds, he was not going to lose by 20 seconds to the car in front of him. So did what was required. Great
to see that Jaden Kelly's mom just coming to congratulate him, and it means so much to them. And they've put, obviously, always the parents put a lot of effort, and you know, it's it's a teamwork from the team, but also the family and the people involved with it.
Yeah, sometimes that gets a little bit lost in the mix, doesn't it? When you're looking across the season, you focus on the teams, the engineers, the drivers, but the families have a huge role. Also, you know, they're the ones that help keep their daughters, their sons calm and keep them focused. And maybe if they get a little upset about things, they sort of straighten them out, see the bigger picture. But it's quite a big picture now. Well, let's go down and hear from the other person who's become a champion, Tim Docker, AM champion for 2025.
Exactly, from the Pro champions to the AM champion, Tim Docker. Congratulations, you finally made it happen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Just about consistency, really. Not necessarily being the fastest, I certainly wasn't. But I managed to score so far in any event in every race. And, you know, one or two other guys have made a few more mistakes than I have, bigger mistakes, and we won through as a result.
What was your mindset coming into this race?
Finish it. Because I knew if I finished the race, I'd win the championship, and obviously that's the goal, that's the end game. So I wasn't really overly concerned about where I finished in this race. It was just a case of getting the car around, getting it over the finish line.
Well, job well done and well executed. Congratulations to our AM champion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marietta, down there with Tim Docker. He can pat the rear wing of his car. Very modest there. I made fewer mistakes than the others. You race what you race.
Great job. As he said, really consistent throughout the season, scoring in every round, and didn't put a foot wrong. He could have very easily made mistakes today, and he just executed it very well. Really a deserving champion.
Yep. So again, we have Pro, we have Pro-Am, we have Am. We know 2 of the title winners, but we don't know who's going to be Pro-Am champion for 2025 as yet. That's going to go to the 10th and final round tomorrow. Weather conditions, we're being told, are going to be very different indeed, and certainly if we look to the left out of our commentary box, we have blue sky. If we look to the right, which is the west, we have heavy cloud coming in. So let's wait and see what we get, but it could be like another thing. But let's look back. 50 minutes of racing. It was entertaining from start to finish. And I tell you what, I think it's time to take a look back to the highlights. All set on the grid. And there was a dreadful start, almost no start at all from the car starting third on the grid. That was a scary moment for Alex Heppert, fell from third down to 15th. Up front though, Leonidas Karabasili got into the lead from pole position. Robin Knutsen, his teammate, tucked in behind, and you had to look across the field to see where everyone was in their respective battles. Tim Docker knew all he had to do in AM was bring the car home, so he sat at the tail of the field. Further up the order, Alex Geppert fighting back after just a blink of an eye. He got his way from 15th up to 8th position. Then it became a little harder. He got caught up with the battle that was raging in the classes, and he had to work his way through, trying to be careful going through the chicane. There was a moment when Rafael Munharath ran off the track, ran to the edge. He did start coming back on board, but really all the battling was up front. That was a nice tidy move, working his way up the order, going past Ron Trenker. Ron would fight his way back as well, so he was having a great time. But up front, it was all about Leonidas Karabasili working his way through ahead of the sister car, trying to find out where to put things on the battle. David Foster, good to have him back in the championship. Then was the time of the pit stops. Still sunny at that point, very grey come the end of the race, but we then got hit with the news that car number 90, in and out of the pits it went, but we heard there was a mistake in the pit stop. Wasn't stationary for a long enough time, or from pit in to pit out, it was undercooked. 20 seconds was going to be added to their time. Ollie Webb seemed to have a little bit of a problem, possibly a loss of power. This was the battle for Pro-Am, but it didn't matter too much. Tim Docker pressing on towards, and when I said it didn't matter for Ollie Webb and Ryan James, they're sitting on a 10-point advantage. It may be reduced. Anyhow, they dropped to second in class. That was still fine. And then there was a fantastic battle because car number 12 just recovering ground. Will Aspin picking up the places that were lost. Certainly he and Alex Geppert went super well in this race, but falling to the back of the field wasn't a helping hand. But Michael O'Brien, the team didn't tell him, but he might have been second to the flag, but when it fell, he became champion with Jaden Kelly, because the 20 seconds applied to the race winner meant that they ended up behind. But here, coming to the end, to a stop, Jaden Kelly was there to greet Michael O'Brien, champions for 2025. Let's take a look at those rankings, and at the end of the race, victory by 12.5 seconds. That means that Karabasili and Harrison actually finished 7.5 seconds ahead, but with 20 seconds applied. And right at the end, on the final lap, they did enough. Sam Harrison did enough to just squeeze ahead by a quarter of a second of Zach Meakin to take second place overall. Still no win, but Karabasili and Harrison, it's coming. A great run there from Geppert and Aspin to get up into fourth place overall. Fifth place for the leading car in the Pro-Am class. That's for Robin Knutsen and Michael Castle. Erik Behrens was the leading car in the Pro-Am class in sixth place overall. Chased to the line, but the gaps come down, but still Ryan James and Ollie Webb in seventh overall still lead the Pro-Am title battle. And eighth place just a little bit behind them. And then Fiona James, Maurice Henry, Ron Trenker, Duncan Tappy completing the top 10. They were lapped at the end of the race. Kalus Halsig and Bradley Ellis, quite a quiet race for them. And Danny Henry came through the bottom three cars in the race with the cars in the AM class, but third place in class, but champion for 2025 with 1 round to run, Tim Docker. So that has shuffled the order in the race. Actually, we're going to a beautiful sunset now, having said it was becoming darker. But that was a race that started in the sunshine. And for some drivers, even for them, it became ending in the sunshine, because Tim Docker, he's now a champion in the AM class. And for Jaden Kelly and Michael O'Brien, they got it all done. Second on the track, but with a penalty applied to the race winners, they vaulted to the top. And maximum points meant they are 18 points clear only 15 points left. So we've done the maths, and they are champions for 2025. So congratulations to them. Still one race to run. We're looking forward to that very much indeed. Do make sure you join us at Paul Ricard tomorrow.